Oh, Canada. It's been a successful track for Spuds in the past. You'll be looking for a repeat performance after last year's win in the wet, and after a last race in Monaco, we'll be very confident that you can put it off today. It's round 7 of Season 2 here in Montreal, and it's a bit of a sizzler at 25 degrees. Not uncomfortable for those in the stands, but with all the overalls the drivers have to wear, it could get a bit hot under the collar today. This is a fast track with 14 corners and 2 TRS zones, which should mean plenty of overtaking into the chicane of 13 and 14, but if the job is not done there, the run into turn 1 is a popular choice to gain a place or two. So, on to Spuds' lap then. Any minute now. There we go. You can see on the run past the start finish line, a 113.9 so far, using as much of the track as possible into braking zone into turn 1, down to 4th gear, then 2nd for 2. Patience is the name of the game, is you let the car roll around, progressively putting your foot on the throttle to make sure the car's back end doesn't snap out on you, and get the traction you need into the run, into 3, of which Spuds does turn in quite early but stays within the rules. Sector 1 line coming up, and Spuds is 3/10 quicker than Ricciardo's time so far. So, on the run up to 8, managed to get up to 8th gear. Spuds using much as the track as he dares to take the corner as straight as possible to maximise the speed on the exit of turn 9, running down to the hairpin now towards a tricky braking zone, which can cost a lot of time if done badly. Spuds hits the apex very well this time and gets really close to the barriers on exit. Now it's flat out down to the final chicane, John McClane, with the DRS open. This is the part of the lap where you just rely on pure engine power and not too much drag to make up the time. Then trickiest braking zone of all, turn 13 and 14, scene of many mistakes and brake failures in the past, and even if you survive that, the World Champions is there on the right to make your life a misery if you mess up the exit. However, no such problem for Spuds on this occasion as he runs for the line, and then the provisional pole time of 1:13.4. If you see on the right of the front row, you will see a Ferrari. Sebastian Vettel took pole from Spuds in the final few moments of Q3 by only 0.06 of a second. Fair to say, Spuds didn't see that coming, but he will be confident enough being on the front row of the grid and potentially having Vettel being a buffer between himself and Button, who lies in 3rd. As you saw, Button currently leads in the standings by only 1 point, so every race is crucial to both drivers. McLaren top of the constructors comfortably ahead of Mercedes, who haven't really stood out so far this season. So looking at the starting grid, Vettel sitting on pole, Spuds in 2nd, Button 3rd and Ricciardo 4th in the lead Red Bull. Rosberg sits 5th in front of Massa, Verstappen and Hamilton, 5/10 separating the top 9, but Raikkonen would have felt more was achievable after Vettel put the Ferrari on pole. An improvement from Force India sees Perez 11th, Verlaine's 12th, Toro Rosso is sitting behind in 13th and 14th. Towards the back of the grid there is no real pattern, but it's a mixed bag, although a familiar sight is seeing the Renaults and Saubers complete the grid, with Gutierrez not having good qualifying at all. So let's move on to the race. So here we go. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we're off. And Vettel gets a terrible start, is immediately jumped by Spuds and Button. Spuds defending into turn 1 as Button takes the racing line in hopes of taking the inside line into 2, but Spuds keeps the door firmly shut as we run up into 3. A dream start from the 2 McLarens there, and there could be a small battle here today between the 2 teammates as Vettel loses the lead as soon as the lights went out. Button is keeping on back of Spuds, and you'll have to think a move will be pulled pretty soon. So coming round the corners there. Still on the back of Spuds, so let's just have a look on board with Button. As you can see, the McLarens had the perfect start. Looked like Vettel was asleep when the lights went out. Button may have even had a better run at Spuds had the German not been in the way. Going round 2 there, not too bad. And we just go on board with Vettel, and you can see just how slowly he reacts off the line. On the right you can see Spuds and Button just fly past on the run down into turn 1, and Vettel will not be happy with that at all, after all the effort he went to put the Ferrari on pole today. Back to the racing, and Button is still looking for an opportunity to pass Spuds. Gets really close on the exit of 14 and gets into the slipstream. On the run down to turn 1, Button goes towards the outside. Spuds defends the inside, but Button carries the momentum around the outside and inside of turn 1, pushing Spuds aside, and Spuds loses momentum at Vettel and he drops down to 3rd. how the tables have turned of just one lap, but it doesn't take long for Spuds to come back and goes up the inside of turn 6. Job's not done yet though, a little wobble, but hangs it around the outside and makes it stick, taking back second from Vettel, and now becomes free to chase down Button once again, who will be looking to create a gap as soon as possible there. You can see him just going off in the distance, but he won't let that happen. Just behind Spuds, Rosberg goes for a move in Vettel, but he has to wait for the hairpin to get the move done at the inside. Ricciardo is just behind and will pick up the pieces if anything goes wrong here. Vettel comes up, back on Rosberg up the long straight, and Ricciardo is looking up to go up the inside of both of them. You can just see here going up the inside on the final chicane. And who's going to lose out here? It's Ricciardo. Vettel and Rosberg just about get away with it, with Vettel coming out on top just there, holding on to third place for now. So on the next lap, Verstappen has now taken Ricciardo's place, and he goes for the inside lines to hairpin, locks up, while Rosberg and Vettel fight it out and pulls it off. He locks up, pulls it off nonetheless, but disaster. Double disaster for the Red Bulls, as Verstappen spins and collects Ricciardo on the way round. Add to this an engine blowout for Hamilton just as he clears the area and he pulls off to the side of the track. Unfortunately, no points for him today. So, bit of a triple incident here as we go on board with Ricciardo. We can see the action unfolding up in front there. You can just see Verstappen go up the inside. Looks like he's going to take place, but Rosberg gets back past it, and Vettel causes Verstappen to spin and causing a double headache for his former team. Vettel having a complete mare of a race today after that poor start, and now this, but looks like it's just been noted down as a racing incident. I do believe that could have been easily avoided. Back on board with Spuds, and this completely neutralises the race with Button up front and Spuds second. Spuds is considering coming into the pits, but decides against it as there are plenty of laps left on their set of tyres. It's only lap 4 at 35 and is scheduled to stop at lap 11. So that's where we are just now. So just sitting behind the safety car. We do expect Button to try and pull something, but does he come into the pits? We shall see. So it currently stands Button first, Spuds second, Bottas third. Spuds just checking his tyre wear. Keep an eye on things. He's got minus 0.87 laps of fuel, so he's quite comfortable on that so far. You can see Button warming up his tyres, but then he dives straight into the pits. Spuds nearly follows him in, but does actually take the corner. Maybe a bit confused there as to where Button was going. And he takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Button fits the super softs and comes out in amongst the traffic. He will be hoping to pass as many cars as possible before Spuds pits to take the lead again. And again, it's a few more laps with the safety car, so lap 6 safety car is going to come in, and then racing will resume shortly. Spuds starts setting the pace and tries to warm up the tyres as best he can as we come up the main straight, but with the limiter on it's a little bit difficult as he leads the cars down the main straight to the safety car line, and he's off. Going around the final chicane to start lap 7. Restart isn't too bad at all, but Bottas is not far behind, but he does not have enough momentum to challenge Spuds into the first couple of corners though. So you got the Williams, and you got Manor up in third as well, so they're doing quite well. Button actually coming in again. Button and Vettel peeling off into the pits because they have been awarded a drive-through penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Not quite sure why they got caught out, but that's how it's gone down, and the stewards have decided to hand out punishments to these two. That puts Button out with one of the Red Bulls. Can't quite tell who that is, but that's how that's gone down, and that's their race sort of ruined, unfortunately. So we've got Bottas and Sainz behind Spuds. And Spuds is pulling in to the pits to fit his next set of tyres. He's going to try and make it a one-stop race today. Going to get off these ultra softs, and he is going for the soft tyres, the yellow wall tyres, the slowest tyre this weekend. You can see Bottas and Harrianto just on the left there. They are on the super softs, as is Palmer, and so is Button, and I would assume Vettel as well. So where does this come out? Spuds comes out in 5th, ahead of Palmer, just down the road from Kvyat. It shouldn't take Spuds long to catch Kvyat. It's not impossible at all for him to catch up quickly on this new set of tyres. Kvyat's tyres should be getting on a bit now. Not quite sure if Kvyat stopped at all, but considering his position, he probably started on those tyres. So Spuds has got DRS here, lap 13. Didn't take long for Spuds to catch Kvyat, as predicted, and is going to the final chicane. He should get DRS again, and he'll be making a move into the first corner. As you can see, DRS flap wide open. Spuds moves up the inside. Kvyat locking up. As you can see, we'll just go on board with Kvyat again and have a look at that move. Massive lock up for Kvyat. That's not going to do his tyres any good at all. So, by lap 21, Spuds has caught up to Sainz. Didn't take that long, really. It did seem like an age when he was actually driving it, but he did get there eventually, so he gets really close to Sainz on the hairpin here. And gets a really good run out the corner and will make the move of DRS. He's already closing up the gap now, even before DRS, and there's going to be a massive overspeed that's going to carry Spuds easily past and well past before the braking zone of 13 and 14, but Sainz pulled into the pits immediately. It didn't matter in the end, he could have just sat behind, but the DRS will be more than helpful. So here we are, coming on to the final lap of the race now. It's a race that's been shaped mostly by the first half of the race, before the pit stops, with Vettel's poor start, Verstappen's spin taking out Ricciardo as well, and Hamilton's retirement forcing the safety car to make an appearance. Button and Vettel's drive-throughs made Spuds' afternoon a whole lot easier, and now we have a situation where Bottas is in 2nd and Rosberg is in 3rd. Rosberg is in a much faster tyre though, with the ultra softs, where Spuds and Bottas are on the softs. That is quite a big difference, but Spuds will be safe in the knowledge that Rosberg has to fight and overtake Bottas before he gets to him. However, this being the final lap means that Rosberg has run out of time to win the race and now must be content with either 2nd or 3rd, considering they are still 3 seconds behind Spuds here. Rosberg is in 2nd currently. We'll see if he can keep that place. I think Bottas is actually going to get past on that straight there, but as we can see, we are going to see Spuds coming through the final chicane there as the battle's going on behind him. We will see that in a moment, but Spuds comes through to win in Canada. It's his 3rd win of the season. But let's just have a look back at Rosberg and Bottas. Bottas came back. Rosberg defends. Bottas gets his nose in front, but Rosberg holds on. Just running for the line now. Bottas is going to come back again, but oh, Rosberg has got it. Rosberg has got 2nd place, one of the closest finishes in history. However, not for the win. This guy, Love Spuds, takes his 3rd win of the season and makes a statement of intent on the title, with Button having a really bad day at the office, finishing in 6th place after all of that. Button taking the lead on the first lap, ending up in 6th place after that drive through and that early pit stop. A great day for Bottas though, seeing as how he started 10th on the grid and ended up on the podium. Nearly had a 2nd place. Harrianto finishes 7th, that's the word, 7th, ahead of Vettel. What a shock that is, and picks up valuable points for Manor. Hamilton retiring is a bit of a blow to the Mercedes team, who have been doing pretty well otherwise. And yeah, that's it. That's how the race results have gone. So we'll move on to the Drivers' Championship just in a moment. And we just have another look at the standings of the Grand Prix there. So in the Drivers' Championship, Spuds takes the lead with Button dropping to second place with 16-point gap. Rosberg moves ahead of Hamilton into third. Vettel will be very disappointed that the day didn't go better for him as he sits in 6th on the table, not moving anywhere. Bottas moves up with that podium finish into 7th. You can also see Haryanto's points making a huge difference to get himself up into 13th with that result. Majority pretty much staying where they are, the odd mover here and there, but those are the main ones that stand out to me. So we'll move on to the Constructors in a second. Just admiring the rest of the standings there. Perez, Grosjean, Hulkenberg, Wehrlein all moving down, with Haryanto moving up, so just go back to the top of the table. And here we are, the Constructors. McLaren still sitting pretty at the top with 224 points, Mercedes 69 points behind on 155, Red Bull on 109. Manor's first points of the season see them move ahead of Force India and Haas into 7th. I'm sure they'll be looking to expand on that as the season progresses. So on to the podium celebrations then, and all there is to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time in Baku for round 8. I'll see you then.